Starting with SoftPlan, we're going to start at the start screen. The start screen when you start up SoftPlan shows you all of your cloud projects if you're on SoftPlan Plus, review projects that may have been created, and your studio projects that may have been created. You're going to see a green dot if it's saved locally, and the green dot indicates that the local version is the most current version. If you see a yellow dot, that means that that version, whether it's on the cloud or locally, is not the most current, and that the other one will be more current, whether it's local or cloud. You're also going to see that there's an area where we have news items shown up top, whether we're releasing some new product into the SoftPlan Plus libraries and so on. In the SoftPlan Plus support, we also have a toll-free number, we have a ticketing system, you have enhanced libraries, and you also have access to all of the training videos or DVDs that we have produced. And a lot of time has been spent to create DVDs that give you the information you need. So if you need to jump in at some point, you can take a look, watch the video, learn a little bit, and then get back out and start drawing again. So with the SoftPlan Plus program, you can add this stuff in, and you'll see it right here on your start page. So you can click in and you can go right to a certain spot. All right. So my key is set up for SoftPlan Plus. So yours may not look exactly like this, but it's going to look similar. You may not have some of the information over on this side. So what we've done is I've created a new project called Pool House, and a project is a place where we store all of the drawings. It's where we store all of the cross-sections, elevations, 3D renderings, soft list reports, meaning a material takeoff. We save all that information in one spot so that you can come back to it, and it'll be basically in a folder contained in one spot so you can come back to it at any point. Okay, a project is going to be set up so that you can have a client's name, address, phone number, any contact information associated with it so that you can come back in later and modify that. But when we go to print this stuff out and we add it to what we call a plan set, which is essentially adding your drawings to a title block, all that stuff will pre-populate the title block for you so you don't have to do it drawing by drawing. All right. So when we create a new project, it'll automatically dump us into a drawing. There was a checkbox in the new project field. You may have seen me doing that before when the audio was out, which allows you to just get a flying start. It starts you on a main floor. When we design with SoftPlan, we design as though we are sketching, as opposed to drawing it in, what you might be used to with other programs where you have to have a preset design already set up. With SoftPlan, we want you to sketch on screen. So skip that onion skin and graph paper mode and just get started with the sketching on screen. You can sit with the client. You can sit with a sketch that you might have had very rough on a piece of paper, and you can input it into SoftPlan and then tweak it as you go. So what we're going to be drawing today is something fairly simple. I want to get through drawing some exterior walls, put some openings into it, some interior walls, some dimensions, show you how those interact with each other. If we get time, we're going to throw a concrete slab underneath this thing and a roof on top and maybe take a look at an elevation and a 3D. All right? So to get started, with SoftPlan, we draw objects. By drawing objects, we mean that we don't draw lines and offset them to represent a wall. We actually draw the wall itself. When we draw the wall, it looks nice in 2D, but it also generates in a 3D world with a height and a thickness, and all the materials are there. All those materials being there means that when we count all this in a material takeoff, we count every material very accurately as well. So I'm going to go to the wall menu. I've got this is our standard wall list, so it shows your partitions and your exterior walls and your block walls. It's a shorter list, but it's a condensed list with majority of your new construction walls that you would need. We're going to start with a 2x4 brick and siding wall. It doesn't need to be a 2x6 wall because it's only a pool house. This one is going to be brick up for about 3 feet and then siding above it. So I'm going to start by picking OK. And remember, I'm only scratching the surface today. I'm only showing you some of the basic commands that you need to generate an elevation or cross-section in working drawings, with the hope that you'll be able to take those drawings and pull them up into a 3D, and with a bit of time, you'll get a drawing that's very complete and something that you can show your client. All right, so when we draw a SoftPlan, we use a left mouse click to start, we use a left mouse click to end. If you look up on the top bar, up in here, you'll see that we have a tape measure. Now this is only just for a guide, just to get close. I want to be about 20 feet. So I'm going to zoom in on this after I get it drawn. I'm going to click my left mouse button to place the end of the wall. I'm going to move my mouse above the wall and click again to place the brick. I'm going to come down from that point without clicking a mouse button and go about 20 feet again. It remembers where the brick is and it's going to keep it to the outside. And I just come around and I close the box. With SoftPlan, you just need to be close to the end. So when I came into this corner, I need to be within about 6 inches of it, and it'll automatically clean it up for me. All right. So you can see that by doing that, we've got about a 24 by 20 box. I want to get this to a 20 by 20 box. So you can see that we've added automatic dimensions to the outside of brick, and all we need to do to fix those dimensions up is simply go to our, we can go right up to the top toolbar here. This is what we call our toolbar, which means that as I click on this, it changes the ribbon bar down below to show us all of the commands that go along with any one of those items on the toolbar across, or on the menu bar across the top, sorry. Then we have a customizable toolbar down below, and the customizable toolbar is something you can play with as you become comfortable with SoftPlan. You can come in here and you can customize it, and you can swap in any icons that you find are not necessary or that would just be nice to have at a quick click away. Okay, so I'm going to go right up to Edit and then Edit Item. And you can see that even though I'm in Edit, I still got other commands sitting in my customizable toolbar, meaning that they're faster to access without having to click through the menus to get to them. Anything in SoftPlan has an edit field, so don't be afraid to click on it with an edit, and it'll tell you all about it. In this case, it tells us that the current dimension is 24 foot 9 1/4. I want to make that 20 feet, so I simply type in 20, and I use the feet key on my keyboard, or I can use the minus key on the numeric keyboard to represent a foot marker, and then I tell it which end do I want to move. I can split the difference between the two ends, or I can move the left wall or the right wall. I'm going to click the right mouse button to move the right wall. Click on this dimension here, type in 20 feet, and I'm going to move the lower wall, and up it goes. With the simple cleanup, this icon right here looks like a drafting brush for those of you who remember those days. That will just clean up the extensions and make sure the dimensions actually touch the extensions again. All right, we're going to add a few more walls. So I go back to Draw. Because I want to add something to the drawing, I go to Draw. I go to Draw, pick on Wall, pick on Partition, 3.5 inch, pick OK. Start on the drawing, and I'm going to show you really quickly that connecting a wall to a wall, it automatically starts on the wall, cleans up to the wall, ends on the wall, and it cleans up to the wall and frees my cursor up again. If I was to draw this out in space, it would continue to draw until I wanted to stop, at which point I could use my right mouse button to say I'm done, just by clicking the right mouse button. It's like a cancel. Or if I was to connect back up to a wall, so if I came around here and I touched back to here, that would automatically unlock my cursor again and I'd be free. Okay. There's 20 undos in SoftPlan, so hitting the backspace key is one of your best friends. Sometimes you'll just want to hit the backspace key and redo something. Remember that sometimes it's faster to undo and redo an item than it is to go and erase the item that you put in an error and then try and redraw it. So I'm going to go back to Draw Wall, pick on my partition, 3.5 inch, and I'm going to start here. I'm going to click on this wall. It automatically locks me in, and it's going to snap to the outside wall just by touching it. So it's a left click start, a left click end. These walls are a little different than the outside walls. The outside walls had a brick surface on them. Anything that is non-symmetrical, like a brick wall, siding wall, stucco wall, it even could be a block wall with a parging on it, something like that, they're going to require that third click to say which is the inside and the outside, whereas a partition that is symmetrical with drywall on each side, those will automatically just draw from end to end and they won't require that third click. Okay, so moving forward, we've already got our outside shell where we want it. When we want to add dimensions through the inside of the drawing, you can either come up here to Dimension and you'll see all of your options across here, or you can go to your toolbar and there's 4 here: Add Dimension, Single Extension, Item Extension, and Group Extension, meaning drawing a dimension through the items itself, pulling a single extension off, pulling extensions off of an item, both sides of a window, for instance, or pulling all of the extensions off of windows and an entire wall. Okay, that'd be group extensions. So they're all four of them are the same as the ones here. I'm going to strike a dimension right through the wall, remembering that I'm not going to be careful about starting and stopping on the wall unless I don't want a wall thickness to show up, in which case I start inside and I end inside, and since I didn't strike both sides of the wall, I don't get the wall thickness to show up. Two things, just typically you just start out to the outside and end on the outside, and that way you can check your wall thicknesses. All right. So with this, here again, we can right-click on the item. It's another way of editing an item, is right-click on it. If there's more than one item there, so I'm going to cancel this. Let's say I want to click in here, and it's a bad idea because there's an interior wall and an exterior wall. When I right-click on it, it asks me, which one do you want to edit? And I can tell it which of the two I want to edit, or what do I want to do with it. I could even come in and erase it, or edit it, or move it. Okay, so that's a right-click on an item. So I'm going to right-click on this. I'm going to pick Edit, and I'm going to make this dimension, roughly 6 feet. And I'm going to move the lower wall because I don't want to move the upper wall. The upper wall is an exterior wall, and I don't want to move that. All right. I'm going to edit this one here. I'm going to make it a nice round 10 feet and move the right-hand wall. You'll also notice that our extensions are currently going to drywall and outside of brick. On the interior walls, we have it set up to go to the stud region, so it's showing a 3.5-inch wall, meaning it's ignoring the drywall that is actually part of the wall, just not visible on either side of this. That is your choice. You can set your wall definitions up and customize them so that it goes to the exact spot where you want it to go. All right. All right. So with that done, we've edited some dimensions. I'm going to pick the big red Save button up here because it's telling me that 5 minutes have gone by. You haven't saved. Maybe you want to get saving on this. All right. Next thing we're going to take a look at is I'm going to drop some openings on this drawing. So it's going to take a few minutes, but I'm just going to move over to the side here. We're going to go back up to Draw. This time we're going to click on Opening. You can leave this dialog open and just pull it off to the side a little bit, and that way we can just keep drawing away as we go. So we're going to start with an exterior door. And under the exterior door library, we have one called French. In the French library, I want to slide down, and I'm going to pick something like a 60 by 80 French A2, which is sitting right here. Now with this door, I just have to hover over the wall, and if I move closer to the outside, it's going to swing to the outside. If I move closer to the inside, it's going to swing to the inside, and that's what I want to do. So I'm just going to center it right about there. Here again, we're just sketching. We've got the box close to what we want, which is helpful. So when I'm adding walls, I'm not going to overrun other walls when I start moving them around. But when I'm adding the openings now, I just have to sketch them in where I think I might want to put them. So that's the only exterior door we're going to put in. I'm going to close that one up and go to interior doors. We're going to go to the Colonial Library, slide down here to about, let's try a 30 by 80 Colonial A, pick OK. And we're just going to slide in here again. You'll notice inside or outside, it changes the swing. You should be able to see it. It might be a little bit hard with the GoToMeeting to pick up on it, but it's ghosted in. And it also picks up where you are on the wall, and it will try and swing the door the right way. So in this case, it's not going to get any closer than my frame clearance to that corner, which is why it's a good idea to have your walls where you want them. At least you think where you want them originally. And then when you place your doors, they will already have an allowance for that in there. The little red dashed lines indicate the trim that is associated with the door already as it's been defined. Okay, so the casing that would go around that door. And we're going to continue. We're going to come back up here, and we're going to take a look at some windows. And in the windows, these are just generic windows under window. If you do have a need for a manufacturer, we have a full list of manufacturers we're constantly trying to update. So you can see we have a good list here, and under SoftPlan Plus, we have a few more. Most of the windows are standard with the program. There's a few SoftPlan Plus available within our symbols, and we have manufacturer symbols as well that you find a little bit more under the plus side. Okay, so I'm going to just go back to window. We're going to go to double hung, and we're going to start with the front windows here, and we're going to put in a 30 by 60 or 30 by 66 roughly. So we'll come in here. And we just drop those on the wall. There's no swing, nothing to worry about with these. You just drop them in. Okay. On this side, I'm going to put something a little bit shorter. So I'm going to drop that in over here and maybe a 30 by 48 over here. And when it comes to the bathroom and the storage room, we don't want anything too low down. So we're going to drop that in right about there. Okay. Now, just like our walls that we've drawn already, and we've added had some dimensions added to those with extensions, you can see that you can position your openings the same way. So to do that, it's just a simple edit. Click on the dimension, type in what you want it to be, and then pick the appropriate arrow. As you can see, this one goes from the front of the wall to the opening. So obviously, I want to move the up arrow because that's the one that's attached to the opening. All right. I'm just going to add some more dimensions back in here. And we're going to edit this one here. And we're going to make it 7 feet as well. You can also use the arrow keys on your keyboard to move the items around. And we'll make this one about 8. And another way to edit the position of an opening, I'm just going to show you a different way than playing with the dimensions themselves, is if I actually edit the opening itself, there's an option in here to center. And it will center that opening between the nearest 2 walls. If there are other walls in there, when you're centering openings across a wall or equally spacing them, it wants to know where they're referencing inside or outside. In this case, there were no concerns because the outsides of the walls would be the same as centering it between the insides of the walls, and it will center it up. And you can see that by looking at the dimensions that they are set. I'm just going to finish by modifying this one up here, about 6 feet, and moving the right side of it, and same thing over here. And I'm going to move the left to move it over. Okay, so with that done, good idea to save, get out of there, and let's take a quick look at what we have in 3D. So as I told you before, you're drawing in 3D the whole time you're drawing. I'm going to just pop you into what we call a textured mode, which is where you spend most of your time. And you can see that on our navigation bar, which is this fourth piece over here that we have sitting on the left-hand side. So if you just click on textured, it takes you into a 3D texture tab. You can flip between your drawing and your 3D up here. You can also create multiple windows on the screen so you can see the different tabs all at the same time. And so as you can see, we've already been drawing in 3D. And there we go. So there's your interior walls. The doors are already set to be open. There's your windows, and your exterior walls are, as we defined, the 3 feet up with brick and then siding above that. All right, let's go back to our main floor. So back on the main floor, I want to just take a minute. I'm not going to go too far into drawing cabinets and so on, but we've taken a look at drawing exterior walls, drawing dimensions, and drawing some interior doors and so on. I want to take a look at drawing some cabinets and some symbols so we can show you those different pieces that you will need to do to the working drawings that you want. So we're going to use an auto cabinet tool here, and I'm going to turn on upper cabinets. We have it already set to a cherry medium finish in a shaker style. So there's different door style types, so just flat panels or cathedrals. We're going to go with shaker and pick OK. OK. Now the neat thing about an auto cabinet is you just trace along the wall with your left clicks, and then you pull out. And then when you're all done, pick a right click, and it automatically draws it in. It knew that the lower cabinets were below the window, but the upper cabinets were going to intersect the window, and so it leaves that piece out for you. All right. So next thing we're going to draw is draw a couple symbols in. So I'm going to take you into, let's see, we can go into here. I'm going to take you into SoftPlan Plus. And you can just take a look through the libraries here, and you'll find I'm in right now in a SoftPlan Plus library for Gen appliances, so you have a good list of different refrigerators and so on. So when I drop that in, back that out, move it over a little bit. We can move these around after we get them in place, but I'm then going to go back over here, and I'm just going to go into a generic bathroom library, in which case, if I want to look something up, go down the bottom left corner here and type in pedestal, or PED is enough to get you a list of different items. You're going to get pediments and stuff because I didn't spell the whole word out, but I can come in here and I can click. Then to draw the symbol, click on the wall, pull away from the wall, and click again. That's all there is to it. Okay, if I want to take a look for toilets, I can come back over to this library, and it's going to pull up different toilets for me, and I can drag this dialog just out of the way so that I can drop it in right there. All right, and I'm going to go to 42-inch corner shower, pick OK, and I'm just going to drop that in there. Okay, it'll automatically find the corner. You'll notice that it's not drawn right up to the wall because this one is allowed for the drywall. If you need to move it, it's an easy move just to move them back a half an inch in either way. All right, we also have a tool called Rod and Shelf. So let's say this is going to be a storage room. Much like the auto cabinet, drag it along, click again. When you're all done, right click to tell us you're done. This has an edit capability where I can edit this. I can turn off the rod, and I can say that I want to make these shelves, which should be good. Okay. And when you come in here, you'll see that you have shelving stuck in there. I don't need that top one, so I can edit that out. Or I can start them at 0 and have them start down on the floor, and that'll pull them back down. You can also put in a center, put ends on it, so you can see this all updating down in here. And if you want this to look a little bit more like a big, clunky IKEA, type of thing, you can put in 1-inch shelves so that it looks a little bit more beefy. Okay. And that's all there is to that. So if that was going to be a utility room or a storage room, you can do that. Might be a change room and you need some shelves in there as well. All right, so with that done, you can see that we have a really nice little pool house. We've got some symbols in there. We don't have a floor yet. We don't have a roof or ceiling or any finishes in it. So I'm just going to take you quickly through some of the tools that you would use to get this to a more finished state. Because as you can see, with our floor plan, we've got something that we could add a few notes to, and we'd have a working drawing for something as simple as a pool house. But we want to take it to the next level. So what we're going to do is, I just need to move my dialog out of the way here for a second so I can get to floor system mode. In this case, we can put a full floor system in, giving you joists, your ring or band joists around the outside, sill plates and subfloors. But for today, I'm just going to draw a slab. I'm going to go the easiest route and do an auto trace. It automatically traced mine in as a non-bearing slab because we would typically pour one of these in a basement, but it's easy to edit, and you can set the system options up so that if you're building in an area where you always draw a structural slab under your walls, you can have it set so the default slab is structural. So I'm going to switch mine over to structural and pick OK. And so now you can see that I have the footings around the outside, and I can sketch in footings as well. So they're easily drawn in. Okay. I'm going to actually pull some extensions off of this. I want to take it out a little bit. And I'm going to push it out the front a little bit by about 8 feet. So I'm going to make this 28 feet, and I'm going to move the front edge of it so it sticks out. And then we're going to go back to drawing mode. And if we take a look in 3D now, you can see our slab sitting there. You'll see that the grass we have here right now is our auto horizon. It automatically detects that there's a slab there and it sets it down. You can define how far down it sits. I think it's about 4 inches right now. If we detect a sill plate because you're drawing on a basement and you're putting a sill plate in, then we will also position it down a specified distance, I think 6 inches at that point. All right, so we have our slab sitting here, and we want to get some beams out front. So I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to go to Draw, Beam, and let's just pick a 6x8 wood beam. Pull that out, roughly 8 feet. I'm just going to be rough on this, and across. Let me tie this one into it. Good. And we can go to Draw, and we have a post library here of decorative fence post. We have some under SoftPlan Plus as well, but structural. So your typical ones are your decoratives and your structurals. So these are things you'd find under the house or in the basement, and then you have your decoratives. And I'm just going to put in a typical colonial base. There we go. Okay. Now the posts will form underneath the beam. When you edit them, there's an automatic adjust the height to fit to beam. So it's a good idea to do that. I'm just going to edit this one over here and do the same thing. We also incorporate what we call a repeat edit in SoftPlan, so it would automatically find all those points for you. And if I wanted to make all these beams white to match what the posts look like, there's also a tool in here called Edit Surface Copy Paste. So you click on a surface that you already know, and then you click on the other one. So if you have, your corner boards are the wrong color, I can click on the siding and I can click on corner boards and they'll update. It's not really something I want to do though. I want them to stay white. All right. Now, 2 more things I want to show you today, and we're doing well for time. So when we drew this, we drew it with just your generic drywall walls, nothing fancy on the inside. We still have a concrete floor. We don't even have a ceiling in there yet or any finishings. What we want to do next is take a look at room mode, and what room mode does is it's a quick and easy way to add finishes and ceilings to each room. This allows you to differentiate different paints that you have on the walls, different crown molds, baseboards, chair rails, so on, and flooring with a single click. And you can predefine all of these so that they're all set up for you. So when you hear me referring to modes, on this top toolbar, we have a status bar which shows you all those distances that we are stretching things out as we drew. We also have our building and layer options over here. So if you're coming from an AutoCAD or other CAD program that use layers, you can use layers, but we also have what we call building options, which are even a smarter version of layers in that they allow you to turn on and off items so they either show or don't show in 3D or count or not count in soft list. So you could put a sunroom option on the back of a standard house, and then you just turn that building option on and it automatically draws it, counts it, shows it. Okay. So that's what building options is. Layers we would typically use so you could furnish the house and then turn all that furnishing off so you could do your working drawings. Something a little bit simpler than building options. And then beside that we have our modes. So we usually spend most of our time in drawing mode. We can also add areas if you calculate based on areas for certain trades and so on. A ceiling mode, electrical mode, so you can draw your electrical in without the clutter of your regular working drawing getting in the way. Floor system mode, which we took a look at briefly with adding the slab, so you add anything floor system related. That's done in floor system mode. Framing mode allows us to see where the framing is in the walls, so you can edit that and control how we control the corners, which wall runs through, which one ties up to it, and how they're framed up. Okay. Interior mode. It's you're going to see if you come back into interior mode after we take a look at room mode, you'll see that it's already pre-drawn in there by basically using the room mode as a single click method. Review is a way of bringing in the notes and items that might have been used in our review app, our add-on feature, which allows the customer to mark up your drawings and do all that sort of stuff, so they can take a look at panoramic views of the interior of their house. It's a really cool tool, but it also allows them to say, this is where I'd like my Cat5 outlets, if they still have them, phone outlets if they still have them, that sort of stuff. cable jacks, that sort of stuff. They can position them, and then you can bring them back in here as an overlay and then add them into your drawing. Okay. Profile mode basically is a diagnostics mode. It lays the walls down so you can see just how they look if they were to literally just fall outward. And you can see our slab, and then our wall goes up from there to the top of the wall. And it gives you a good idea whether your openings are aligned straight across on the tops and so on. Okay. Roof mode we're going to revisit in a few minutes. Site mode, obviously a place you can draw a site. Soft list is just another mode for you to use highlighters and so on to get quantities on items aside from the regular takeoffs that we create. Okay, and 3D mode just allows you to position the camera and so on from a drawing perspective. And I do most of my 3D stuff I do right in 3D. So we're going to go into room mode, and by clicking, and there's very few options up here, but you're going to go to room, and these are all pre-configured rooms. You can add to this list if you like, but we're going to just slide down here. I'm going to pick kitchen, and what it does in this mode is it will paint the area in for you, first of all. I'm just going to move this so we can see a little bit better, and slide up until we find bath. I'm going to click on bath, and we're going to go to I'm just going to use the storage room. Okay. All right. So we got bath, kitchen, storage. If you wanted to put a porch out here, you could. It's not necessary, but it is an option. It'll. Now what you'll notice is if I click on this, it'll tell me I can't find an enclosure, so then I just come back here and say, okay, I want to manually trace that in, at which point I'm going to turn off my snaps. Zoom it up a little bit better. And I just want to trace that within here. Now the reason I didn't find an enclosure is because this is drawn with beams, not walls. So it needs to be shown where it's supposed to go, and it draws in the porch. Now, when we edit one of these, so I'm just going to close that out, this will show you what we've drawn now, and it shows you all the different items: wall coverings, baseboards, chair rails, crown molds, bulkheads if you have them, like valances, flooring, and ceilings, all in one spot. You can change the different types of finishes on the ceilings to textured, painted, and so on. The different paint types, so if you have a higher cost one, you can put those in there, all right? And the big one is your baseboards, and we use what we call profiles. So you can create your own profiles, but there's a good number of manufacturers' profiles in there as well, and those will allow you to copy what's already there if you're doing a remodel, or create the look that you really want. It is basically the extrusion shape that you need for your different trims. Okay, so just by doing that, and we go back into 3D, don't be alarmed, but you won't be able to see inside because we've added ceilings to it, so we can actually go right inside. Use the binoculars real quick just to pull this up close, and we'll just wheel forward and go in. So now we've gone through the glass. You can take a look around, and you can see that we've actually added a light fixture in the middle. Too far back. And you can see we've added flooring. That one's a concrete floor. The tile continues in here, and so on. And we've added paint to it and dressed it up quite nicely. Something I didn't show you earlier was editing an opening. Become familiar with the openings. You can change openings after you've drawn them. It's not a hard thing to do. I'm just going to move my camera around so you can see this a little bit better. While we're in here, though, I'm just going to edit this one window and take you through some of the basics. The plan view is very important. It shows you the size, the rough opening, where it sits vertically in the wall relative to the top of the wall, the bottom of the wall, or the bottom of the opening to the bottom of the wall, which is important sometimes. If you'd want the tops to stagger up, you want to know that distance, and it's an easy way to do that. Okay, under display, whether you want to see a sill or not see a sill, that kind of thing. If you have a hinge side, so if it's a casement window, you can differentiate one from the other. In plan, you want to see all the information, the opening size and the product code size and so on. So the code that came in the actual catalog will be the product code. And then whether it's open in model or closed in the model, that's for doors. And I'm going to take you into, you have different trim options. So you can customize the exterior trim on your openings if you choose to. We're going to go to the treatment tab, and in here you can add different options, if you like, to your windows just by clicking them there. So play around with this. You can put rods and shelves and finials on those and so on. In this case, I just put in the lower half shutters on that window, and I'm going to pick OK. All right, going back to the main floor, running a little close on time. I'm going to probably take this to the full hour, so if you have time, I apologize for the audio issues at the beginning, so I will just take this right to the full hour, and we'll take a look at putting a roof on this thing and just finishing it off a little bit. All right, so we're going to take this to roof mode, which is over where we had room mode already set. Now, roof mode allows us to add a roof, and in a number of different ways. We're going to be the simplest today. We're going to use what we call auto roof. I'm just going to quickly go through them, though. Auto roof will automatically put a roof on that will essentially keep the rain out. It tries its best to achieve that one goal, and that is to cover all the walls that it sees. The walls do need to close up into a box. The add roof option is a way of adding on to an existing roof. So if I had a bump out at the back, I could add that in. So if I was doing an addition out the back, I could draw the existing over the main part and then add by picking on the walls that I want to add it to. Trace roof is you draw the roof where you want, and then we go looking for the walls, and then we can add roof planes in as well as we need to if we need to tie two roofs together or so on. So I'm going to use the auto roof command. Drops on a hip roof. We quite often get asked, well, why does it draw a hip roof? How do I draw a gable? We draw a hip roof initially. The reason we do that is that it's a more difficult roof. It actually needs to find a wall to sit on and bear on. And so you can see that every one of these has a solid circle, which means that the solid means that it was successful in sitting and bearing on a wall or beam at that point. The little lollipop line coming out of it indicates that's the overhang. So it sits on the outside of the bearing, and it runs out to where the overhang is on the roof. I can easily take this hip roof and convert it to a gable, but in order to draw a gable right from the start, we would have had to ask you some questions anyway. We would have had to say, where is it sitting on the walls, where are the gables going to be, and then we'd have to try and draw it. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. But in this case, what we do is we draw the hip, and then you come back later and you change it. So what you do is right-click on it, pick Edit Edge, or just go to Edit up here, and then click along the edge. Okay. If I click out in the middle, I get an edit for the entire roof, and what that tells me is I can change the pitch, the overhangs on the entire roof by clicking in the middle. But if I click at the edge, the dialog over here says roof edge, and you'll get to recognize the difference between the two without even looking up there. But I can change that edge to a gable, Dutch gable, bullnose, double hip. I can even put a profile on it if I wanted to do something French provincial and swoop up. Okay, but I can change this to a gable, click on it. I can do a double right click, which pulls up a floating toolbar, and there's a repeat edit option right on that toolbar. So the second row down, third over, repeat edit does the exact same change when I click on the other side. That's what repeat edit will do. It'll look to the last edit done and make the exact same changes to it. Get familiar with it. Be careful what you're doing with it, but you can always undo if you need to. I'm going to edit this edge again. I'm going to change the overhang down to 12 inches. And there again, I'm going to double right click, repeat edit, and make that same change over. Oh. I did something wrong there. I blocked it out. There we go. Make that 12 inches. And we're going to take a look at our 3D. So let's pop out here. I'm going to pick on the there we are. So you can see there's our roof. And if we want to dress this up a little bit, there's some other tools up here that you'll see. You can add crickets and saddles for the different spots beside a chimney, between two roofs. Add false gable, which we're going to do. You can add dormers in. You can add roof edges in where necessary. I'm going to add in a false gable just across the front here. So I'm going to click, and that'll automatically drop that in. This is an extensionable option, so you can pull the extensions off. I missed. And when you dimension this up, make that 3 feet and move the right-hand side. Edit this one, make it 3 feet, move the left-hand side. And when we take a look in 3D, there's our little false gable. Okay, so it easily dresses it up. And back on the main floor, you can also frame this all up. I'm not going to get into that today, but we're going to go back to the drawing mode. And you can see that by going in room mode, it also positioned all the room notes. So it shows us the room names right on it. And the only last piece is I wanted to show you electrical mode and the difference. So if you take a mental snapshot of that right now, this is electrical mode. So it's exactly the same drawing. We just turn on and off certain items so that they don't clutter the drawing up. So you're going to have all your notes for your floor systems and so on in there. It can turn those off so that you can easily come in here. And it also has a pared down list of commands that you can put in. So you can go to electrical symbols, and I can go to just say my standard list here, and I can find switch. Now it's going to be a 3D one. I don't want the 3D one. I just want. Oh, I slipped off the. There we go. So when you go into 2D, you'll see that it just shows as a typical switch. You can put it in double. You can do whatever you need. Now, the other thing we can do here is we can do auto place outlets, and you just click in the room. Where it finds a countertop, it'll automatically place a GFI above the countertop. If it doesn't find that, it has some rules, minimum wall length, spacing, and that sort of thing, and how many it'll get. And then you can obviously just move those around if you need to. If you don't like the positioning of them, they're easily moved. Okay, so you just pick them up and move them where you want. The other thing is we have all our options in here, so you can set up the different connect styles, and there's your different minimum wall length, outlet spacing, minimum corner space, and minimum opening space, so it doesn't jam things into the corner and so on. Okay. And we're going to put in an Arc Connect, just so you can see how this works. The little green markers here are construction points to help us connect to those. So if I wanted to click here, and then deflect it out, it'll do that for me. So left click, and deflect. All right. If I wanted to draw some more exterior lights, you can easily come in here and I'm just going to go to and you can just click and drop those, and you can also put in your Arc Connects to those as well. So an Arc Connect, place those. All right, let's take a look at our 3D. Now, we've done something fairly simple. It's not too fancy, but hopefully you've seen a good number of commands that will get you from a blank screen to something that you can print out for working drawings and so on. Obviously, back in here, I'm going to save this, and we can do you can do interior elevations, that sort of thing. We're going to do a front elevation for you. So that automatically generates a front elevation from you. From there, File, Save, Save As, and just call it Front. And you can add the model paint, or you can add shadow paint. I'm going to add the model paint, which is the shading. Then you can obviously add your vector paints in there as well, which would be your line paints to differentiate different roofing materials and so on. And once you've saved that, you're going to see that these are your views and these are your drawings. And so it'll automatically fall into that space, and there's your final elevation. With a few just tweaks to this, you can drop in your dimensions. Under notes, we have a good number of speed notes. So your speed notes here, you can go to your floor plan notes or elevation notes in this case, and you can add in whatever you need to. Okay, so cast sill, that sort of thing, brick sills over here, 4-inch corner board, that kind of thing. And also under notes, we have pointers and we have segmented pointers, which are the most typical, and you just click and point. Nice thing about these is that they actually travel. When you move the note, they move with it. Okay. That kind of thing. All right. And you just save that out, and you can do all 4 of your elevations. You can cut a cross section and do whatever you need to from there. All right, just quickly a cross section. Section line can just be cut straight through, and so it's a left click and a left click, and then the direction that you want to see. You're going to see the view over here when you click on it. Do you want to see the background, which means will you see everything beyond that and beyond the cut line? You say yes. This will generate your cut line right through, and here again, File, Save, Save As. SoftPlan drawing, section A, and there you go. And when we come back into here, you can see that's your final cross section there. A few cleanups, that sort of thing, and those are all available under Tools. So you got snaps, extends, trims, and fillets, and you can just do simple erases as well to get rid of items that you don't need. If you don't want to see that soffit line and so on, you can clean all that up right in the final section using some of those tools. Okay, so with a little bit of time and perseverance, you can easily get through something like this. It's not that hard. I did take some time. I threw together just a 3D based off of what we've drawn today, so you can take a look to see what you can achieve. Now, I've done a couple different things. I've taken you into a textured mode. I'm just going to flip this over, and then I have to share this screen with you. So you should be able to see it now. So this is a rendered view. The rendered view takes a little bit longer. It takes your textured view, and then it uses the software to generate shadows and lighting and so on. So I've added a couple pot lights out in our front veranda, some different lights on the front, and some vegetation, and I threw in a pool with a patio around it. But you can see the effects that you can achieve. It's not that difficult. So let's see. Here's the same drawing, similar drawing. I tweaked a couple different things, but that's a textured view. Textured is fast. That's what you're going to typically take people into. You can see the reflections from a little bit of the reflections in the water, but it's more prevalent when you're looking in here. You can actually see the building reflected in it, but you can see the opacity where the ladder disappears into it. And it doesn't take a lot of time. It's just something you just need to play around with. Thanks again for joining me today. I hope you had a good time, and we'll continue to work with SoftPlan. And if you don't have SoftPlan, I hope you'll take a look and see what you can achieve with our software. So thanks again. Have a good weekend.